हेलो दोस्तों, कैसे हैं आप लोग। तो गाइस आज की वीडियो में हम लोग आपको दिखाने वाले हैं जो 12 तारीख को एक मीटिंग हुई थी शाम के 4 बजे वेब्स इंडिया के साथ। हमारे रॉबी सर भी थे और वहाँ पे एक मीटिंग हुई थी। तो गाइस वो मीटिंग मैंने थोड़ी बहुत रिकॉर्ड की थी, तो गाइस मैं आपको यहाँ पे दिखाने वाला हूँ। और गाइस आपने वो वीडियो पे मैंने जो इसके पहले एक वीडियो अपलोड की थी उस पर मैंने टारगेट दिया था 50 लाइक्स कराने का। और गाइस थैंक यू, उस पर 50 लाइक्स कंप्लीट हो चुके हैं, 60 क्रॉस लाइक्स हो चुके हैं। तो गाइज़ थैंक यू सपोर्ट करने के लिए। तो गाइज़ आज मैं जो मीटिंग है अपलोड कर रहा हूँ। तो गाइज़ आपको इस मीटिंग इस वीडियो पे कंप्लीट कराने हैं 80 लाइक्स। तो 80 लाइक्स कंप्लीट कराने के बाद आप कुछ और तगड़े तगड़े कंटेंट देखने को मिलने वाले हैं। तो गाइज़ इस वीडियो को स्टार्ट करते हैं।
We are the most underrepresented in the world of gaming. And that's really where we saw the opportunity to kind of say that, hey, could we not tell our own stories using this medium to players all around the world? That's really how we started our story of building Indus. Indus is a chapter that almost all of us have studied in your fifth grade history textbooks. Everybody talks about the Indus Valley civilization. A lot of people might not know how many years ago was that civilization. The answer is 5,000. But that's really what we kind of felt is not just packaging it for the global audience, but also telling stories that maybe our kids also are not aware of. And that's really how we started making Indus. We had a slightly ambitious plan this time of building this idea of Indus around the concept of indo-futurism, which is an inspiring vision of India and our rich culture. Everybody knows that the Indus Valley civilization died, but nobody knows how, what happened to it. So we kind of decided to tell a story, and we said that, hey, what if what if the Indus Valley civilization didn't really die? What if it was, it was so advanced that it flew off to a distant galaxy, and you're now discovering this galaxy 5,000 years later, untouched by colonization. And you kind of, what would that look like? What would it look differently? And that's something that we kind of saw and thought about as not just building a game, but kind of building a game cultural phenomenon. That's really how we thought about Indus. Every symbol that you'll see inside of Indus is being thought of and built from an Indian culture perspective. The mandala that we use is actually a lotus flower. You'll see that in our symbol everywhere. But I wanted to kind of share with you today how we thought about telling these stories and packaging them into both a visual as well as an audio medium. We called Indus an indo-futuristic game. A lot of Westerners, when they started seeing some of our early work, they started calling it, "Hey, this reminds me of Wakanda." I thought that was probably the best compliment that we got, because when you think about what the movie Wakanda did, was to really kind of capture Afrofuturism, but also said, so it showed you the art culture of Africa, but also said Wakanda is the most futuristic place in the world, and in that movie or in that time. And we thought that that perfectly represented what we were trying to do inside of our video game. So the rest of my slides kind of demonstrate and show you how we try to package our art, our culture, our stories inside of the medium of a video game. The the happy, all of those things inside of it, but in a subtle fashion. You see the Taj as a robot. You'll see Morni, a peacock. You'll see Hina Sidhu, a world champion of shooting. You'll see Meg Balika or Pokhran, my favorite character. All the music of Indus, all the dance moves are also inspired by Indian art and culture. This is my co-founder W throwing the Bhangra, which our characters do in the game as well. Or the Natu Natu from the Oscars a few years ago. All the music of Indus is also composed in-house using traditional instruments, but with a modern touch as well. Essentially taking our chants and bringing them inside of the game was also something that we kind of did to represent our game. We wanted to be clear that our game is not about violence, it's not about killing people. It's about marksmanship. Marksmanship similar to the sport of shooting, everybody knows that as a country, we won the most Olympic medals in the sport of shooting. So that's something that we're really, really good at. And we were very inspired by this character or this person, Hina Sidhu, who's actually one of the world champions of shooting. And we kind of bought her inside of the game and packaged her as a character as well. Uh, I want to show you
She
this.
is the first Indian pistol shooter to win a gold medal at the World Cup, achieve world rank number 1, and also set a world record. She's also an Arjuna Award. Amazing how much work goes into a game and everything that a character does. I was amazed. I was blown away. Like Ronak said, he looked at the character and he said, "Yeah, it's you." Like, he could make out that it's me, the hairstyle is me, how you actually zeroed in on a warrior look, because that's exactly how I do my self talk when I'm shooting. No matter how many medals I won, I was always like into games and enjoying games. This is amazing. we can stop. We can stop at this, and I'll still be happy. I can't wait for the game to be out. It's going to be India's moment, and people need to be proud of in India where they come from. People today don't care what you're speaking or whatever, but they just want to see what you can do, what you can do.
That's again how we thought about, bringing in not just our art, culture, mythology, but also our current generation of inspirations and heroes. And that's really something that, Indus tries to do everywhere. Now, whether it's a contemporary shooter or what we're speaking to the current generation of athletes, or reviving an old art. One of my favorite moments growing up was an Onam celebration where my father donned one of these masks to kind of perform the Kathakali. And I thought that that was a dying art, something that kind of got lost. And that is something that we kind of chose to bring back to the game, not just in the traditional Kathakali form, but also giving it a slightly more fusion touch with our Agni Ragam character.
That's been a beautiful collaboration of Tiger Breaks. They have created something great, vibration, and nothing. So put your hands together for Indus and the collaboration with Tiger Breaks.
So we collaborated with a rock band that called Taikudam Bridge, which was kind of taking a combination of Kathakali and old art, but also rock music and bringing it to everybody else. So that's kind of something that we kind of felt was the right way of kind of packaging our culture for a global audience, something that everybody understands and can kind of maybe jive to as well. Next is showing you a little bit in terms of what Indus looks like. It looks quite different these days, but the idea, inspiration of our characters, you'll see, were completely Indian. From Meg Balika, which is a traditional Rajasthani girl who's breaking out free, to kind of our various robots inside of it. The White Taj is one of my favorite characters. I always play as that. Hina Sidhu, a character inside of our game, or Morni, which is, Indian peacock. These are all game characters that we kind of thought were really, really important. We don't have loot boxes in our game. We had Lotus boxes inside of it, which kind of reveals the gacha mechanic inside of it or the gift system inside of it, or what our end screens kind of look like. And you continue to see newer characters that represent all parts of India. Whether it's a premium battle pass, all of this content typically represented what we truly are and represent as a culture all across India. Pokhran again is a homage to Homi Baba and was kind of set as this thing of saying what if. And it's also my favorite way of kind of telling people that the Indian pot belly that we're infamous for is not a pot belly; it's actually a nuclear bomb. This is really something that we thought was really funny and kind of made its way through all of our internal laws. I think it also kind of came out outside as well. All the avatars of Indus. All of the avatars of Indus are something unique and are loved by players not just in India but all around the world. That's something that we started doing. Again, video games are a medium that people want to look deeper into. Our game was accompanied by a deep lore that kind of explained the background of the game, the story, the depth of it, where it originated, where it's headed into. We've actually had 3 lore books come out in the last 3 years. With every year, we've kind of had a new season, kind of a new story, a new chapter unfolding. And that's something that's represented well in our rich material of our lore book. A lot of this is available on our website as well. Um, Next part of it was, even the weapons, they actually have a unique Indian or an Indus touch to them. Whether it's our Neo Qatar, our shotgun is called Kismat because अगर वो मेरे हाथ लग गई तो आपकी बुरी किस्मत. Or our LMG, which is our favorite weapon on the field, is actually called Devastator, but actually it came from the Hindi word Dev Astra. So that's kind of how we've kind of combined a lot of the guns inside of it. Our shooter, our automatic pistol shooter is called Raftar, which kind of combines a lot of these things that you probably not just from rich culture, but also from everyday terminology. We launched the game in late 2024. We got about 10 million people playing it. We were fortunate to receive the Best Made in India award from Google Play as well as part of it. And I want to kind of talk a little bit about, so this is really how we've represented our art and culture. Now what we're doing is to actually take these stories, take these elements of our culture and take them to players all across the world and make them understand that, India cannot just be a consumer of video games, but also a creator of them. And that's kind of been something that we've learned through just our various tours that we've kind of gone through all parts of India, spoken to our players, built this community, told their stories. And I'd love to kind of show you a little bit on how we kind of built these stories. So that's kind of something that we did everywhere. We went on a tour to kind of take our game to all parts of the country.
I loved it. Like for me, like I was telling him also that for an Indian developer to come out with a game like this, like it's going to be like a childhood dream to see Indians come up with something like this. My mind is relatively blown. Honestly, it's beautiful. I cried. It was emotional. घर का खाना बोलते हैं वैसे
And finally, talking about a video game and seeing, what a shooter's kind of done, we think that there's a lot of things that you can do beyond taking these characters into a shooter game. And there's always a plan for Indus to kind of take our IP across video game genres, be it a casual genre, which is already our game called Battle Stars, to a racing game using our environments inside of it, or a heist game. And these are all pieces that are currently in development or in various prototyping stages. You'll definitely hear a lot more about how we're kind of taking more stories, more IP from India, and kind of sharing it with our friends all around the world. I want to kind of spend a little bit of time maybe talking about the Wakanda experience coming from somebody who's kind of was influenced heavily by Wakanda or the story of Wakanda and share it with you here.
I can't even tell you how much Black Panther meant to me, my community, everyone worldwide. And it's because we finally saw Africans in a way that was so empowering. And it resonated with us not only as long as it was in the theater, but for a very long time. And when I found out about Indus, I was so happy and thrilled. I really look forward to playing your game. I look forward to the launch, and I'm going to tell everybody about it.
So that's really something that, we kind of got a lot of appreciation. A lot of people came up to us and told us that they loved kind of seeing our take on culture. And we got a lot of support from everybody in the community, and we're grateful for all of that. What does the future hold for a little bit of it? As we kind of started sharing our stories all across the world and telling our stories about Indus, we also realized a couple of other things, that it's not just our culture that's underrepresented in video games. there are a bunch of other cultures also that do not see this representation. Whether it's the Latin American, South American culture, whether it's the Middle East that's not well represented in video games, those are all things that we started working and collaborating towards. So today, what you see as Indus is not just Indian culture packaged really well for the rest of the world, but also a mix of other cultures to tell these stories even better. But these are not something that we came up with. We found people who wanted to tell their story just like us and brought that to our game as well. So what you see inside of Indus today is not just the Indian art and culture from a video game, but you'll see Brazil, you'll see the Middle East inside of it, you'll see Mexico inside of it, and these are all things that we kind of felt lead to a more richer kind of storytelling. And these are all things that, hopefully we're bringing some of this culture here, but we're also taking parts of our culture everywhere around the world. Uh, and we've done that with the same authenticity that we did. We traveled personally to Brazil, met with all the players, met with all the people who are passionate about sports, learned about what their environment, art, and culture looks like, and kind of shaped it in a way that we will actually take it not just in their region. It seemed authentic in that region, but also could be taken to all parts of the world. This is Mare or Lighthouse, our newest map coming out, which is based on Brazil. Similar to Vlog, we've actually taken places that we've actually been to within it, be it the football culture, that you kind of see inside of the favelas in Brazil, or characters that might seem very, very familiar with a modern twist inside of it from a Brazil perspective. Indus is now gearing up for its Brazil launch as well, where we represent not just Indian art and culture, but we also kind of bring in newer cultures like Brazil to our game. Again, this is not a work of one person. We've had a team of 100 people. Some of us have been here. A large majority of our team has been here for 4 to 5 years, building this game, putting the best years of our life into building something like this, so that we can all represent Indian art and culture well, not just in India, but all across the world. Telling our stories, telling our small nuances that people will remember all around the world is something that we've attempted to do. We started this journey, and with your help, we can get much further along. Thank you, everybody. This was, my presentation in terms of what we're doing to take Indian art, culture, mythology to the rest of the world.
Thank you, Robbie. Robbie, it was very interesting. Congratulations. I think you built a great game and all the best for the launch coming up in Brazil. Robbie, a few questions.
Sure.
You've done shooter games before, right?
Correct.
Mask Gun, yeah. But what made you take the step of building Indian mythology, and what are the thought behind it? Like, why did you think you to build an Indian mythology game?
Sure. So I did Master in 2016. At that point of time, if you told people in India that you had to play a shooter on a fairly low-end Android device, everybody would laugh at you. So I essentially built it only for a Western audience. So I essentially built it only for content that a Western audience would consume. We launched first in Australia and New Zealand. India was the 38th country that we launched in. We didn't even build for India. But when it was 2019, we realized that India is the shooter capital of the world. There are more shooter players in India than the rest of the world. Building a shooter with this audience is the greatest asset that you have, because that feedback is not coming from somebody that you don't know and see or who's 5,000 miles away. It's somebody that you can, if you, say that you're buying pizza, you'll actually have a bunch of testers in your office. And that's really how we built the game. So one, we were building with the Indian customer in mind. Second piece of it is we kind of saw this as a gap. There was no video game that's been built with Indian art, culture, and stories. We thought that that's enough of attention grabber from a user perspective, of people to kind of lean in and kind of pay attention to what you're saying. I thought that was probably the most important part of it. And third is, after you spent a lot of time making video games, I didn't really want to make one more video game. I wanted to make something that is kind of a work of art, that is something that tells your story, something that's a game. You spend many years, so to say, making enough money so that you can afford to make a game that kind of represents you well, or represents you as a creator well. We've always represented team is equal to software. That's the third rule of software development. And we always thought that making a game that represents us as creators well is really what Indus is.
Okay. Ravi, so you told us about the thought behind it. But when you're building these characters, and you showed a little bit of inspiration, Ravi, where you came from, and like taking something like the pot bellied Indian, right? For the language, for example, you chose people. But when you call mythology and futurism, where did that idea really come from? Because that has to be the base layer of where you build this
Correct.
from. I mean,
Correct.
Wakanda, yes, of course, great inspiration, but in India, because we're not so fixed on one, like you come from Kerala, you're from Pune, so
Correct.
there's like every 500 kilometers, every 50 meters we speak a different dialect. So how did that like packaging come through?
I think like two parts inside of it kind of came in. One was you're trying to do something that's not seen. So if you look at any of the Indus content, you'll not find that content anywhere. So it was kind of a originality. And the originality kind of came in from this whole thing of what if all the Indian content or caricatures were never touched by the Western world? What if they kind of developed, we kind of developed like, the Dune story. We kind of developed into the technology on our own. What would it look like? I think that inspiration really kind of came in from the initial set of work that Peter did. So a lot of the credit to what of the character art essentially just goes to one guy called Peter. And Peter kind of came up with this whole idea that, hey, what if we merged Indian content but in this futuristic fashion? I thought some of the early kind of rushes of characters that we did really look good on this side of the content that we did. So we just doubled down on it and we just made more and more and more of it. The reason that we kind of thought that futurism mattered is that, we're building for a modern player. A modern player is not very rooted in the past. He doesn't want the very, old style mythological characters, especially for playing in a classic shooter. So we said, what if we took something that India already plays, which is a shooter, but brought to it a twist where you kind of have these modern characters, but they actually tell stories of their past and they represent something well. Those are kind of the fusion pieces that kind of came in. And again, it was not the first thing that we did. We tried 3 to 5 things. We had 7 or 8 different stories. Indus and Indo-futurism is probably the story that resonated most between all the people.
Oh, nice. So you've spoken about that. But from a sound perspective, and Taekwondo Bridge, I love the band. I think they're really, really cool. But when you're talking about music, Taekwondo Bridge wasn't the only one, right? You worked with multiple
Correct.
different musicians.
Correct.
How is that? Because one of the things that I don't see in India in games a lot is sound, right? I mean, sound is an integral part of video games.
Correct.
But in
Correct.
India, we haven't developed games like that requires sound as an integral part. So it probably you didn't have a precedent or learning in India from others. So you had to, I'm sure, discover a lot of it yourselves as a studio.
I think if your lead game designer was a former band player, your
Mm.
head of marketing played in the same band, and they kind of recruited their friend who was also in their band but studied to become a lawyer to actually make sound for the game. That's really how the idea of sound kind of came in. And it kind of came in from merging both, traditional instruments but with a modern twist. So you'll see a lot of the ragas being represented in our game, but with a modern twist inside of it. And again, credit to Jwalant Neelab in terms of thinking about the entire soundscape inside of it. A lot of this, like I said, it all comes in from people who have this interest in each one of these areas of telling stories, finding music that kind of is appropriate inside of it. A lot of this talent came together organically. People just showed up. And people kind of came up with these ideas, and we thought that it fitted really well into the overall theme of the game. That's why enough when we doubled down inside of sound. Earlier, we would just buy sound of some sound clouds or some sites, but this time we kind of built a whole sound engine. Each one of the theme music that you will kind of see inside of it kind of came in from the taste of the team. And also having a sound engineer like Neelab who kind of added his own twist to a lot of it, which kind of made the soundscape of Indus its own album. So there are people who just listen to Indus music on the side as a soundscape, and that's something that we kind of are very proud of.
Oh, nice. Ravi, when for studios in India who try to we see a lot of indies and everybody wants to build this huge game, right? And this is not really mythology, but uh, what is your one advice to studios trying to build big games? Where should they start from? I'm not saying not being ambitious, but be realistic. And because you took over 15 years to be very, very ambitious, right? I mean,
Correct.
so what is one thing that people should be wary of when they're building a large game like this?
I don't think ambition should be, so to say, nurtured by years of experience. I think Jeff Bezos said it in one of the famous interviews and says that, people didn't start making hard things because they thought it was hard. They thought it would be easy. So I think that's really the part inside of it. I think younger people have a much larger ambition than some of us. So I definitely encourage a lot more younger people to be bold and try this out while you're still young. From our ambition perspective, and the one advice that I give you is that everything is hard. I think what brings people together is not money or experience or the years that you've tried doing this. It's actually believe in something bigger than yourself, in a mission. When we kind of said that, hey, our mission was to put India on a global gaming map, or kind of say that, hey, we are building India's gaming culture or a cultural revolution. That's kind of something that we kind of felt very deeply about. And it was not just me, it was the ambition of the entire team that kind of started bringing it together. Then people showed up, we raised money, a lot of those things happened, but the vision came first. It was not because we raised money that we kind of came up with the idea of Indus. It was that we were executing the idea of Indus, which is why we raised money around it. So I would definitely tell people that, if you have a belief that something that's bigger than yourself, do what's possible to make it true. And you'll see that the rest of the universe conspires to send you the people that you'll need, to find the people that will kind of, even in hard times, you'll kind of find the money that's needed to do all of it, provided you're thinking of the right things. Do it for the right intention versus like, hey, I need to make $1 billion game or I need to make one more thing. That's really been the difference between, I would say, artist and creator. Like that's really the piece that we kind of realized that Indus is the collective ambition of a lot of people at Super Gaming.
No. So which means like you've toiled so hard and then you all think of the same lines, you're thinking the same wavelength.
Correct. So everybody wanted to do something that's beyond our, like we wanted to punch above our weight, so to say. We wanted to do something that people would always say ki banega nahi. Shipping it is kind of like one of the big things inside of it, but that's the start. Like we spent the last year and a half making 50 updates to it, and it's now starting to work in all markets all around the world.
Okay. We got a very interesting question.
Yeah.
It says, is Indus doing any merch collabs? If yes, what are the challenges faced by gaming studio in India for IP filing and merchandising?
So we've done all of our merch ourselves. Like you'll always see me wearing a Indus merch. I'm wearing a Mech t-shirt today. You'll see a lot of people, we do a lot of merch, but with all of our content inside of it. We've not done a lot of collaborations other than like, the Hina Sidhu one, the Taikudam Bridge one, Agni Ragam inside of it. We've done a few in LATAM now. Our goal was, I think the merch pieces, etc., all come in later. Like I care about this character, so I wear her every day or I wear her very regularly. That's kind of what we thought about merch. Like merch is not, it's a expression of solidarity of saying that I believe in this or I like it so much that I want to kind of wear it. And you'll see this with all kids wearing anime. It's not just because it's cool, it's because you believe in it. No, that's something that we thought is how we thought about merch. I don't think about it from an Indian studio perspective. I think if you make a great game, people will start wearing your merch. I was most surprised, like the story of merch kind of is not, is crazy because in my game Mask Gun, one day I got this email from a player which actually said that, hey, I had to get my leg amputated, but I want to kind of put my Mask Gun character on this amputated leg that's being fixed to my leg. Because while my leg was amputated and I was in all of this pain, I only played your game the most. So I want to kind of represent that in my video game. And that was crazy for me because none of us had a tattoo of our own game as well. But suddenly we actually have people's body parts putting their name inside of it. And that's really how we think about merch. It's an expression of something that you care deeply about.